Hey y'all, thanks for checking out the Extraordinary Podcast. This is the Season 5 finale. Can't believe how quickly it's gone by. We're going to be presenting the fourth key of the 8 keys to great, the rough construction, where we're going to help you learn how to create an extraordinary life. But before we jump into that, I just want to take a quick second to give a few shout outs and special thanks to the people who made a big impact on the show this season. This was the season of the guest. There were a few guests that had a really big impact on the success of this show, and I just wanted to take a second to recognize them. First and foremost, Walker Neer of the Walk Show podcast and Carolyn Owens of the Let's Coach with Carolyn podcast. Both of these podcasters I met at Podfest, and both were guests on the show. But above and beyond that, they should be on my payroll because they've been so incredibly helpful with me booking new guests, with getting feedback from my content, and overall just being great friends to me in general. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the impact that they've had on me. Next is Brooke Strawn, another guest on the show this season, who went above and beyond not just promoting her episode, but the podcast in general. She's been huge for our social media and helping us grow our audience and have a consistent and concise message on those platforms. Be sure to check out the last installment of her book, The Subject. It can be purchased on Amazon. There'll be a link in the show notes. I'd also like to recognize Lisa Garrison, my wife, and Blairam for all the help that they had in launching the extraordinarypodcast.net. I should say the relaunch. I'm so pleased with how that website has turned out, and I hope you guys get a chance to check it out. There are 2 other podcasters who have made a tremendous impact on me over this past season, and that's Pablo Gonzalez and Jeremy Siegel. Pablo hosts the Chief Executive Connector podcast, and Jeremy Siegel hosts the Why Influence podcast. Both of these guys interview amazing guests, and Jeremy even has a weekly call where he brings in social media influencers to help us in developing those accounts. I was also fortunate enough to be involved with Podmax over the course of this season, thanks to Pablo. At Podmax, we got to interview entrepreneurs and small business startups. I'm going to be releasing those episodes as special bonus content over the course of the next few weeks. Also, big shout outs to Squadcast and Zoom. The coolest part about being a podcaster is the networks that we make and the relationships that we build. And over this past season, I have been able to create a bunch of those that I never would have thought possible. It's interesting, one of the calls that we had with a pretty famous podcaster, he talked about the 18-month rule, and that it takes about 18 months or about 60 to 70 episodes to really start seeing some positive results and start seeing that exponential growth that we all hope for. And it's interesting, that has been the case for us. Right as we've rolled through this season, we've seen our podcast grow by some substantial numbers. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for not only taking the time to listen to our podcast and subscribe, but sharing it with others, helping us spread the word. As I've seen those numbers grow, one of the most rewarding parts is seeing that some of the more popular episodes are the episodes about the 8 keys to great, the 3 habits in 30 minutes, the content that I've made specifically for you guys. So on that note, let me know what other content you would like to hear, what other things you want to know more about, what other guests out there interest you, what do you want more of. It's been really interesting, the highs and lows that come with this. Right as I'm running out of time and money, it's when I'm finally beginning to see some success. So this next season is going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. Hopefully things will continue to move along and we'll be able to see some financial success from all of this. But last and not least, the most enjoyable and the most rewarding part of all of this is the feedback that you guys have already given me. The DMs, the text messages, the phone calls, the visits that I've had from people that I haven't talked to in years, some that I don't know at all, some that are recent and new friends to me. But all of that feedback, that's what makes all this worth it. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for continuing to spread the word, and look forward to sharing the 4th key of the 8 keys to great, rough construction. At the end of last season, we covered the third key, demolition. We not only worked on eliminating bad habits, removing that dead wood, if you will, but we also began replacing those negative behaviors and routines with positive ones, creating patterns and new habits that will set us up for future success. Now let's figure out how we're going to get there. Once the demolition has been done, you're ready to start building. Now that you have a clean slate, it's time for the rough framing, the outline of the structure. Now the walls go up. The trusses are hung. The measurements are as good as they can possibly be, but you will quickly learn minor adjustments must be made at this stage. Everything does not have to be perfect, but you do everything you can to get it as close as you can. Things build quickly at this stage. A relatively small amount of work looks like a lot. Your dream home begins to take shape relatively quickly. For the first time, you have something to show for your efforts. This construction phase of your dream life should also be treated the same way. You spent time designing the life you want by creating a blueprint. Then you demolished the bad habits and negative routines that were preventing your progress. But now the work begins. Work towards the goals that you have laid out. Start by taking action. Start ugly. Try different things. Many things. What are you good at? What did you enjoy doing as a child? A big part of crafting a lifestyle that you desire is by spending as much time doing what you enjoy and as little time wasted on fruitless enterprises and time wasters. If financial success is the primary objective, then you must find the best way for your talents and skills to amass your fortune. Now is the time to try a variety of things and see what works. What is great about this stage of construction is that it's easy to change things. Once you've seen the layout, once you've tried a business model, you have the ability to make even drastic changes relatively easy and for little cost. So now is the time to really finalize that dream home. Now is the opportunity to work hard at your craft and see how well it serves your ambitions. Does everything you do serve a purpose? Is there flow, form, function? As you refine your skills and your path, ask yourself, is this the dream I envisioned? Now is the time to make it so. Once the walls are framed and the ceiling goes up, in come the mechanicals. All the stuff behind the ceilings and walls, the lifeblood of your home. We bring in the wiring for lights, pipes for water, and the ductwork for the AC. These systems are the ancillary aspects of your job or business that will make you better at your overall skill. They need to be done correctly and in order. These processes are things like product development, creating a team, marketing, logistics, and budgeting. These systems can easily be adjusted at this stage as well. Do you need an extra outlet? What marketing opportunities are available? Are there enough vents to adequately cool and heat the space? Are we utilizing social media platforms to promote our business? All these questions are figured out at this rough framing stage of the construction process. Mistakes made now are manageable and correctable, where you can learn valuable lessons without it costing too much. Having to switch service providers or rebrand your image at this point is not only possible, oftentimes it may be for the best. All these same principles apply to creating your dream life, a lifestyle that you want to enjoy for at least the next 10 years. So how do we start? At this stage in construction, it's time to take action, kick things into high gear, try new things, do what you are not comfortable with, do things poorly, do things that will have to be redone. Just like building your dream home, this is the rough end time. Things do not have to be perfect, but they do have to get done. The rough framing does not require seamless joints and exact, precise measurements, but it does require proper structure and a solid foundation that can be built upon later. The finish work and the fine details are much easier when this rough end work is done well. So do your best. But the most important thing is just do. The bottom line is to just get something done. So here's some questions. If you're unhappy with your current job and ready to make a change, what would that be and why? List the top 3 dream jobs you would like to have if money were no factor. For me, that meant deciding I would try to make a podcast, build a website, and write this book. At least that was the plan. No matter how bad my first attempts were, I had to take that leap and just go for it. So that's exactly what I did. I gathered up what I would need and I got to it. I wrote in my journal every day about what these things would look like. And then I just went for it. I found 2 friends from high school that were doing cool things that would be gentle with me in starting this podcast. It took me 3 tries with one buddy and only 1 shot with the other, but then I had my first 2 recordings. I convinced that same buddy to then help me edit those first 2 podcast episodes, and we met at his house and recorded an intro. They weren't pretty, but they were done and ready to publish. But then I didn't know how to publish. My buddy that had done the editing for me had his buddy do all his posting and publishing, so he had no idea how to help me out. So I had to figure out another way. So then I shifted gears to the book and the website. I started off with a Wix page, but later switched over to WordPress. Again, I had no idea how to build a page, and the first several versions were absolutely horrible, but I published them anyway. Each day, I would make minor improvements and republish. Each day, taking small steps. And ultimately, it didn't really matter because no one was finding the website anyway. And it was the same thing with the book. I started with some basic self-help principles and tried to craft them into something sensible with limited success. Nothing that even remotely resembled the 8 Keys to Great, or what you're hearing now. But I wrote anyway. The goal was 1,000 words a day, and I failed at that regularly. And in the end, it really didn't matter too much because all the stuff I wrote was really garbage anyway. But what it did was improve my writing. Just the act of writing and typing improved my skills at both. The sentences slowly improved. The structure and flow began to be noticeably better. And most importantly, somewhere in that journey, the 8 Keys to Great concept emerged. I have no doubt it never would have if it were not for the writing and the brainstorming that I had done prior to that. And even as I worked on the 8 Keys, that was just the beginning. Crystallizing the actual plan and honing the process, refining those keys, took a lot of time and a lot of failure. Stories and concepts I thought would work in one area were better suited elsewhere. The first half of the plan was very clear, while the tail end was still difficult for me to explain. I still stumble over my words when presenting these ideas. I tend to trail off and assume that most people don't want to take the time to understand this whole process, because it is a lengthy process. And I still need more beta testers to work through this entire process, to see if any of this actually works for other people, or is it just unique to me? And most importantly, how can I give this program away for free and still find a way to support my family? As I face these struggles, I've always found a way to overcome or answer that call. And I believe it's because of the processes that I have created up to this point. They are the reasons that I've met many of the guests that you've heard on this show. My favorite quote from Jim Rohn states, "If you really want something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse." So reflecting back on those dream jobs, while considering where you personally excel, what are you willing to try? Here are some questions to reflect on to determine a few paths to explore. What are 3 hobbies or activities that you enjoy that could be a side hustle? Not necessarily money makers, but just something that you like doing, like a podcast or photography. What are 3 products or services that your current job or business is consistently struggling with? What are 3 activities, classes, groups, organizations that you could participate in that would help you towards your dream job or business? What are 3 skills that you have that most others don't that could be applied to a business model? Are they scalable? As you spend time reviewing these concepts, hopefully a few ideas will emerge. Test the field. Offer things for free. Begin to explore that space. Find community in these areas, and you will quickly find out if this is a right fit for you. If it's not, move on to the next concept or idea. One will ultimately resonate with you, and when it does, go hard at it. Understand all aspects of that concept or business, both the parts you like and the parts you don't like, all the while sharing and documenting your process. Believe it or not, years from now, you will reflect back on this time as the most memorable, the most meaningful. This is the time when your best stories will be made. So enjoy the process. Once you have your business idea figured out, that rough framing built out, now set up those systems, the plumbing, the electrical for your dream house. One of the best systems that you can establish in your dream life is your budget. Having this system in place first will help you in creating all the other systems that you will need to ultimately reach your goal. So let's start there. Budgeting, the 70% rule. If you live like no one else, later you will live like no one else. Dave Ramsey. Could you live on 70% of your income? Is there a way to get there? What sacrifices could you make for one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year? Are there ways that you could today trim the fat? Give up a Starbucks here or a Chick-fil-A there? Are you on a budget? Is it written down? Are you sticking to it? How much are you saving? How much are you giving? How much are you investing in? Most importantly, how much are you investing in yourself? I submit that just by writing down and keeping track of where your money is being spent, you will immediately recognize 10 to 20% savings in your spending. Just by simply paying attention and keeping track. Did you pay any late fees this month? Did you analyze your statement and realize that you were billed wrong? Just by combing through that information, giving it a name, and dividing it up, you will change your behavior. How much did you spend on groceries last month? How much did you spend going out to eat? Could you reduce that number by only a few percent? Could you call your cable company and ask for a reduced rate? Or better yet, switch to a local competitor and save a bundle? Or still, better yet, ditch that cable bill altogether? The first step is paying attention. Then you see where the opportunities to save exist. A little bit here and a little bit there. I know what you're thinking. Live on 70%? We live on 110% right now. And that's exactly where I was when I started this journey. $20,000 in credit card debt, amassed over about 7 years, 1 month at a time, spending an extra 10% that we didn't have, month after month, year after year, until we started paying attention to where that money was going. We had automatic payments set up for services we were no longer using, cell phone plans that were double what our friends were paying, fees for missed and late payments that could have easily been avoided simply by paying on time. In 1 month, we found an extra $1,000. And I'm not saying that you're going to have this level of success, but what I am telling you is the savings are out there. So now that we see that we can live on less, what do we do with that savings? The 70-10-10-10 rule. 10% tithe, 10% savings, 10% investing in you. Savings. Hopefully you're already contributing to some kind of 401k or Roth IRA. And if so, this 10% is at least partially being collected there already. This 10% is what those accounts are for. If you're not using them, start. Most companies have some type of 401k match, so make sure that you're taking advantage. You can use that company matching portion towards this 10%, since after all, this is money you're earning anyway. Savings is the second 10%. But the first 10% is the most important and non-negotiable. The first 10% is tithing. The first 10 cents out of every dollar goes to charity, goes to someone else, goes to someone in need. This may seem counterintuitive, especially to someone who's agnostic or atheist, but I have seen the impact that this has on the giver, time and time again. It's remarkable how giving in this way is critical to long-term wealth and success. For some of us, this is not a difficult sacrifice, in that it's a principle of tithing found in most Christian faiths. And I encourage you to do this while you are broke and when you only have that $1. It's much easier to give a dime when you have $1 than it is to give 100,000 when you have 1,000,000. This should also come before all else, because once it's gone, you can't get it back. Many of us choose to give it to our local church, which is great and some of the most well-used money collected. But if you can, look for a local charity or organization within your community. A lot of money that goes to big organizations like United Way and Goodwill is wasted on overhead and administrative costs. Not only does your dollar go farther locally, but it also allows you to give in person. See the impact that it's having and affect those closest to you. A list of local charity links can be found on our website. Giving is powerful. Try it for 90 days and watch the blessings unfold. If you follow these principles and implement this practice, you will have more money and financial success than when you started. Money back guarantee. Once you've given your 10%, make sure that you're investing that next 10%. This is that savings we talked about before. Diversify, have a plan, and start small. Invest in what you know and what you believe in. Invest in others. Individual stocks and index funds which perform consistently are great, but also be willing to take small risks here and there. Trust your gut. Never worry over a loss, and enjoy the process of helping others reach their dreams along the way. Remember, this is for the long game. This money, just like that charity money, is gone forever once it's allocated. It cannot be retrieved until later, much later. This is not the money that is invested in your own business. Again, if times are tight and the budget's already been cut, then using that company matching funds to allocate towards that 10% is okay temporarily. But as you refine your budget and realize more savings, this category should be 10% of your take-home pay. Now that you have your bills paid, you're giving away some and saving for that rainy day. There should still be a little bit left, hopefully after paying all the bills. This last 10% is to be spent investing in you, your business, your passion, your development, your learning, your dreams and aspirations. I know, there's no money left and the baby needs a new pair of shoes. This is always the first category to get robbed from. What's more important, your personal development or the lights staying on? So we have to develop some shortcuts and cheats to get our personal development growing for little or no money. The first is a library card, cost $0. This is the first tool that you must have in your toolbox. The library card is the golden key, the secret to unlocking all the answers. The resources in the library are not just limited to books, although they are probably still the most important and underutilized tool out there. The library also has park passes, discounts, freebies, state park visitor passes, $0, local zoo passes, $0 on certain days, the symphony, $0 one day a month. All the tools that you need to not only educate yourself, but supply your family with opportunities to learn and grow through a variety of techniques and experiences, culturally and educationally. And even if you're too lazy to get a library card and don't like to read, there's always the ever-present internet and smartphones. All the information literally in the world at your fingertips. YouTube and training websites abound with free content that covers everything from language learning to business school case studies. And almost all of it is free. What excuses do we have that keep us from developing the lifestyle we want to live? Why can't we have everything we want? Why can't we have our dream job? No matter what we want to do, there's already not only someone doing it, but there are people out there willing to show us how to do it too. Now, as you grow and develop, eventually the information will become more and more specific. And as you get better and better at what you do, the training and knowledge will eventually require some costs. But by then, you should already be so far down your path that small investment to help you get the information you require will not feel like any kind of sacrifice. As you continue to get good at what you do, look to others who have come before you. Who is doing it like you want to? Whom can you model after? How can you differentiate yourself in the market? What personal attributes do you bring? You are what make the difference. You are your own secret weapon. Stay tuned for the next season where we'll review the 5th key, initial inspections. That's where we'll review our progress. See you then, and good luck building your extraordinary life. So you're still here. Wow. Thanks for sticking around. So, what'd you think? What did I miss? What would you like to know more about? Who would you like to hear on the show? If you stuck around this long, maybe you won't mind giving me some feedback. And don't forget to check out the website, extraordinarypodcast.net, for all the latest episodes. And if you enjoyed the show, please take the time to share with your friends, on social media, or with anyone you think who might enjoy it. And last but not least, if you're ready to start living an extraordinary life, check out 8keystogreat.com, where you can craft your free blueprint to renovate your career, home, or lifestyle. The program is free, but you have to do the work to unlock each key. And finally, if you'd like to speak with me directly, you can book a free 30-minute Zoom call through my Calendly link on the contacts page. And in the meantime, check out some of the other exciting interviews with ordinary people living extraordinary lives. Thanks for listening, thanks for sharing, and most of all, thanks for just being you. I'm Nate G, and we'll see you next week.